www.nta.ng/live.
We speak out because a physical conflict will haunt us all.
Resist any attempt to challenge the sovereignty of Nigeria, a charge from organized labor to all Nigerians.
Ghana and a few others providing us with the opportunity to demonstrate the effectiveness of some of the newer vaccines, including one of the vaccines against malaria.
Experts intensify efforts to stamp out malaria on the African continent. 3 tiers of government share 462.3 billion naira for the month of May. And Muslims urged to look out for the new moon of Shawwal, just as the federal government declares Monday and Tuesday next week public holidays to mark Eid-el-Fitr. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja, and Ademola Adeoye is in our Lagos Network Studio.
And warm welcome.
And Zainab Abdul Nasser is in our Sokoto Network Center. Right. The 3 tiers of government have distributed the sum of 462.359 billion naira as revenue accrued to the Federation account for the month of May. The month saw a significant rise in non-mineral revenue. The details with Leah Katum Babatunde.
The month of May was not favorable for Nigeria's crude trade as it recorded a decline in export volume by 1.023 billion barrels, coupled with the perennial problems at the operational Niger Delta, as well as a slight drop in the average price of crude oil from $55.38 per barrel to $55.18 per barrel. These combined to reduce oil revenue by about $57.12 million. The good news, however, is a significant increase in revenue from companies' income tax and royalty, with marginal increase in customs and excise duty.
Fortunately, the takings by FRS increased substantially, and this more than made up for the reduction from NHPC receipts.
Also customs.
Yes, and customs.
Gross statutory revenue was 317.562 billion naira, an increase of more than 43 billion naira against the previous month. The increase in non-mineral revenue cushioned the effect of the fall in mineral revenue to see the 3 tiers of government share 462.3 billion naira. Excess crude account now stands at $2.303 billion and excess petroleum profit tax $0.067 billion. In Abuja, I'm there cutting Babatunde.
Members of organized labor and civil society organizations have called on Nigerians to shun threats of pulling down the federation by desperate forces calling for the disunity of the country, pointing out the dangers in the ongoing warmongering at a media briefing on the state of the nation. The leadership of the labor movement says Nigerian workers will resist every move to threaten the sovereignty and unity of Nigeria. Correspondent Emmanuel Ayimiro tells us more.
In the struggle for... After due consultations with the various organs of the labor movement across the country on hate campaigns currently affecting the fabrics that hold the nation together, Labour says it is not persuaded by the argument that a fragmented Nigeria will benefit any of its members.
We speak out because a physical conflict will haunt us all.
Recalling the roles of Labour in the struggle for independence and fight against military dictatorship, corruption and bad governance, Labour and the civil society say they are committed to those values the nation's founding fathers stood for, which bind the country together rather than disunity.
This call for restructuring will come over and over, but how we are able to manage it is what makes us a very strong nation.
In the recently concluded election in the United Kingdom, election of 2 weeks ago, 7 Nigerians emerged as legislators. Can we repeat that? Can we look at these challenges before us and stop following those who want to divide us?
Members of the organized labor say they are determined to stop the elites from throwing the nation into another avoidable civil war through calls for genuine dialogue for conflict resolution. In Abuja, Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
In a similar vein, the National Orientation Agency is embarking on a campaign to ensure that the correct message of peace and unity to facilitate national development is spread across the country. This is coming on the heels of the recent secession campaign and quit orders by youths. Ogwa Vivian Oyedibia was at a media party and iftar with past executive and staff of the agency to kickstart the campaign.
Nigeria's population and diversity are some of the factors that make her great, and the harmonious coexistence among the different ethnic and religious communities make the country a leader in Africa. Recent trends of sowing seeds of disintegration are, however, threatening all this. It is to reverse the trend and build on the gains of the Union that the NOA, whose mandate is to enlighten the citizens, is beating the gong to remind Nigerians that the labor of heroes past shall not be in vain.
In a democracy, we have our grand law, and there is nothing actually that is an antidote for the management of a plural society.
This breaking of Ramadan fast with past DGs, senior staff and friends of NOA is to seek how best to promote patriotism and respect for the rule of law so that peace, tolerance and unity will be the narrative across the country. Ogwa Vivian Oyedibia, NTA News.
The United Nations systems providing intervention in conflict areas in the northeast is to collaborate with the federal government to develop a national peace architecture to facilitate conflict resolution. This was the outcome of a meeting between the Minister of Interior and UN representatives in Abuja. Momso Demian Eti has the story.
The United Nations has been playing an active role in the northeast, providing assistance to over 2.2 million victims of insurgency. Recent assessment, however, revealed that 4.7 million people require general assistance and 5.2 million will need food in the nearest future. These, among other prevalent issues bordering on inadequate social amenities, necessitated the UN team's visit to the Ministry of Interior to collaborate towards developing programs required to address the root causes of the crisis and appeal for provision of basic social amenities for the 12,000 internally displaced persons who have just returned from Cameroon to Nigeria and the 950 on their way.
How we can work with your ministry to develop a national peace architecture that can look at early warning, issues of mediation, negotiation, and conflict resolution.
The Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dambazo, gave assurance that the movement of the returning IDPs will be initiated and guided by the ministry to avoid exposure to further security threats.
We must look at the root causes, as you mentioned, of the crisis. We must address them, particularly when we know that they are mostly women and children. So they need that protection.
The synergy will further strengthen counterinsurgency in Abuja. Momso Demian Eti, NTA News.
The Sultan of Sokoto and President General, Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, has requested Muslims to look out for the new moon of Shawwal on Saturday, the 24th of June, which is the 29th of Ramadan, 1438. A statement signed by the Chairman Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, Professor Sambowali Junaid, says when cited, it should be reported to the following numbers: 0803 7157 100, 0706 7416 900, 0806 630 3077, 0806 654 80405, 0803 5965 322, and 757. In the meantime, the federal government has declared Monday 26th and Tuesday the 27th of June 2017 as public holidays to mark Eid-el-Fitr. Interior Minister Abdurrahman Dambazau, in a statement, enjoined all Muslims and Nigerians to pray for the peace of the nation. He appealed to all Nigerians to shun hate speeches and divisive tendencies and join hands with the government to promote peaceful coexistence. And you can watch this broadcast live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. And ahead on the news tonight, Head of Service speaks on the strategic importance of capacity building. The details when we return.
There has been a resurgence of meningitis in Nigeria. Meningitis is a serious disease that is preventable, that is treatable. The symptoms of meningitis include fever, headache, neck pain, neck stiffness, vomiting, skin rash, convulsion, undue sensitivity to light, coma, and it could lead to death.
But we can all protect ourselves from meningitis.
The most important thing you should do is get vaccinated.
Cover your nose and mouth when you sneeze and cough.
Avoid contact with infected people. Keep your surroundings and surfaces clean.
Do not share personal items.
Wash your hands regularly and take care of personal hygiene. Avoid crowded areas. Ensure proper ventilation at all times.
Please go to the nearest clinic if you're concerned that you or your child may have meningitis.
All of us should work together and stop the spread of meningitis in Nigeria. You too can fight meningitis.
Together, we all can fight meningitis.
This public message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health and Dettol.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights. How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
Hey, now who they here? My name now Mr. Shortcut. I dey mind my money. Now cheap one, I dey buy. Standard, we sign. Now to buy cheap one. Hey, now one kind cable for my yard. A cheap building material where we take build my office. I think say I dey save money. Office building collapse and fire burn my house.
You don't see what happened to Mr. Shortcut? Well, Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, don't ready for action and say enough of pain, loss and wastage. And if you see product where no dey correct, call the SON office when near you or SON help desk. Standards Organization of Nigeria, improving life through standards.
We want to buy Indomie noodles. 4 packs, please.
Yo.
This is not my Indomie. Please, sir, if not Indomie, don't call it Indomie.
Sir, the taste is the difference. The difference is in the taste. That's why my brothers, my mommy, my daddy, and I all enjoy our delicious, so very delicious Indomie noodles. The difference is the taste.
Taste is the difference.
Yes, difference is in the taste. Nothing tastes like my Indomie.
Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
The Future Assured project of the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari, is carrying out free medical screening and distribution of food items at various IDP camps while ensuring the economic empowerment of women through training and skill acquisition. In recognition of her efforts, wives of governors have lent their voices and support.
In Kogi State, we feel the impact of Future Assured, especially in women and children.
The Future Assured program of Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, the wife of the president, has been very assuring and still reassuring in Sokoto State. It has impacted positively in the areas of humanity, especially women and children.
Supports the Future Assured initiative. Email programs@futureassured.org.ng. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
The FIFA Confederations Cup Russia 2017 on Kwese Free Sports for the fan.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant. To achieve our creed as we promise, we shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris.
Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility.
This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
Strategy towards the control of malaria on the continent of Africa has attained greater heights as a new vaccine has been experimented in some African countries. Director, Department of Immunization, Vaccine and Biologicals of the World Health Organization, Dr. Jean-Marie Okwobele, made this known at an interactive session with the Senate Committee on Primary Health and Communicable Diseases. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
Outbreak of diseases in any nation is of global concern and a major challenge, especially towards most developing economies such as Nigeria. The situation becomes more challenging when new epidemics are experienced. The Ebola phenomenon and Lassa fever disease outbreak are a pointer in that direction. This visit by primary healthcare experts from the World Health Organization is emphasizing a more robust collaboration of international organizations in fundraising and timely procurement of vaccines. The World Health Organization, having introduced 24 new different kinds of vaccines for disease control, the country is being challenged to step up action in providing funds and sustain advocacy on immunization.
Close to 12 or 13 of those have been introduced and are being used. Ghana and a few others are already providing us with the opportunity to demonstrate the effectiveness of some of the newer vaccines, including one of the vaccines against malaria.
It is also ensuring effective utilization of facilities and personnel towards achieving routine immunization for the improvement of Nigeria's healthcare delivery system in all ramifications.
The National Assembly really has been very conscious of the need to re-engineer our healthcare sector.
From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Participants at the second-day investigative hearing on the activities of health management organizations by the House of Representatives Committee on Healthcare Services have called for the scrapping of health management organizations in the disbursement of National Health Insurance Scheme funds. They also recommend that the scheme be made compulsory while enrollees be allowed to choose their health care providers. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
At the first day of this investigative hearing, some questions were posed from the committee and members of the public. One of these questions is on whether health management organizations as middlemen through which the hospitals are paid should be delisted.
The NHIS must consider sending funds directly to the facilities.
The competition and tariffs that were already undervalued, it has remained unchanged despite of the recession, with the attendant increase in the market prices of drugs and consumables.
The Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Professor Usman Yusuf, maintained his position that the health management organizations diverted funds meant for the scheme.
I have the facts. I know what I gave each HMO in each hospital, in each places. It's there. I will present it to the committee for them to make an informed decision. What I see, ladies and gentlemen, is a system that I've said it before. It's been run without a soul.
I want to submit that the figure that was mentioned yesterday by the Executive Secretary of NHIS was never correct, and I needed this to be quoted on the media.
The committee explained that it will not leave any stone unturned in sanitizing the National Health Insurance Scheme, especially the roles of management organizations in the disbursement of funds to healthcare service providers.
We will not end the public hearing and
these departmental training officers were selected and inaugurated.
We must have departmental training plans. The departmental training officers must come and sit down with us and look at what their plans, their training plans are. And of course, we'll also have an audit mechanism.
The mindset on training must change. We must now start getting value for the money spent on training.
The officers promised to live up to expectation.
We will do our best to formulate strategies and plans to develop training proposals that are suitable and relevant to our respective MDAs.
Like the head of service said, we need to start it from somewhere, and how do we get that right? By make sure you apply all the necessary tools available in all the MDAs to achieve this overall goal.
The inauguration is expected to ensure a formidable platform for proper coordination of training activities in all ministries, departments and agencies. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Defense Headquarters has reacted to a media report accusing service chiefs of extending the military career of their corps mates. A statement by the Director of Defense Information, Major General John Enenche, condemned the publication, pointing out that promotion and length of service in the military is always guided by the harmonized terms and conditions of service of officers 2012. And the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has considered the petition submitted by some registered voters from Kogi West Senatorial District to kickstart the process of recalling Senator Dino Melai. In a statement by the National Commissioner and Member Information and Voter Education Committee, Mohammed Haruna, INEC is to verify that the petitioners are registered voters in the Kogi West Senatorial District. The Commission will on the 3rd of July 2017 issue a public notice stating the day or days, time, location and other details for the verification exercise. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has indicated its commitment to a sustainable relationship with the National Council of Arts and Culture, NCAC, in areas of mutual interest. Minister of FCT, Mohammed Bello, gave the indication when the Director General of the NCAC visited him in Abuja. Olainka Uju reports.
The collaboration is expected to promote the cultural heritage of the FCT and Nigeria in general. Expressing willingness for a sustainable working relationship, FCT Minister noted that it will stimulate social-economic growth while diversifying the economy, which is one of the priorities of the present administration.
Work it out, and let's see the numbers and let us see what we will finance and then what we will encourage others to do.
Director General of the National Council for Arts and Culture, Otumba Olusegun Rushewe, called on the minister to assist in resolving the issues surrounding the proposed site for the hosting of the upcoming Africa Arts and Crafts Expo. He further intimated the FCT minister on the hashtags Think Nigeria First and Think Culture, introduced by the council to promote patriotism among Nigerians.
We have received 29 countries so far now who are attending, officially written and signed. In fact, the Korea said they are not Africans, but they are going to participate. I think Korea, China, India, and Taiwan, they've all agreed to participate.
Otumba Olusegun Rushewe also visited the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, where they both agreed that cultural reorientation among Nigerians is another solution to stemming the menace of corruption in the country. In Abuja, Olainka Uju, NTA News.
The Federal Road Safety Corps is to collaborate with traditional rulers as an advisory body to sensitize their subjects to safety on the nation's highways. Corps Marshal Boboye stated this when he visited the Ooni of Ife, Obadiah Ogunwusi, in his palace. Femi Afolabi reports.
Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Commission Boboye Oyeyemi, in company of top hierarchy of the agency, were in the palace of the Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, as part of the tour of Osun State. The FRSC boss, who highlighted challenges facing the agency in safeguarding the nation's highways from carnages, said traditional rulers have roles to play in reducing crashes on our roads.
Road safety is a shared responsibility. Whatever we can do to get the citizens to be obedient to traffic rules and regulations, I think we should not hesitate in doing it.
He also announced plans to make the forthcoming Eid-el-Fitr festival accident-free.
We have deployed 25,000 workforce, vehicles, everything. That is why I've been on the corridor, this corridor, since Monday, because of the collapse of Jeba Mokwa, the bridge, the main bridge there. The traffic is now from Lagos through Ibadan, Ife.
The Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, attributed high rate of auto crashes on the nation's highways to bad roads. From Ife, Femi Afolabi, NTA News.
Experts advocate the use of French language to promote integration in Africa. Let's join Ademola in our Lagos Center for this and other reports. Ademola.
Thank you, Cyril. Good evening once again and welcome to Lagos. The need for the adoption of French language as the second national official language in Nigeria has been emphasized. This is in a bid to adopt the language as a tool of integration in the West African sub-region. This remark was made by Professor Carol Okpara of the Department of Arts and Social Sciences Education, University of Lagos, at the 8th inaugural lecture. Tunde Saiki has the details.
The 8th inaugural lecture of the institution was titled Quest for Sub-Regional Integration, the French Language Education Factor, by Professor Carol Chinyere Okpara, discussed the concept of integration, the need and justification for integration, the role of language in general and French language in particular for integration processes.
It is laudable. What we need is the implementation, and it is the government that will give us the political will.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who was represented by the Zonal Director, Lagos Network Center, Nigerian Television Authority, Chidi Uluka, said this is in line with government's drive towards the realization of effective integration in the West African sub-region.
Since we are going to have one market and common currency, it is important that we also make sure that other languages, especially French, is used.
French language has a lot to do with Nigerians. So long as the language is being spoken to almost every country of the world.
The Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Rahman Bello, said since language has the potential of fostering destabilization and awakening the spirit of national consciousness among West African states, the adoption of French as the second official language will help in hastening its achievement.
Nigeria has been a major stakeholder in Africa when it comes to the evaluation of the dividends of integration, needs to sharpen our strategies to facilitate the process of integration.
The lecture had in attendance guests from all walks of life, staff and students of the school. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Strategies and scientific approaches in tackling the root causes of direct and structured violence that produce refugees and internally displaced persons have been advocated. This was at the 5th Memorial of African Refugees Foundation in Lagos. Lenike has the details.
Nigerians over the years have grappled with the issue of refugees both internally and externally. This development, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees says, emanates from man-made conflicts and natural disasters. The African Refugees Foundation is therefore charting ways to reduce all forms of displacement and production of internally displaced persons and refugees.
Say, let's engage this community, let's identify this problem, and let's see how, as a community, we can resolve them.
We need to deal with our own people, talk what is good of our country, talk good of RF and her support and care for refugees, so we can make our country a better and a stronger.
Speakers at the forum are of the opinion that it is imperative to proffer solutions that will ameliorate the condition of refugees, encourage peace, and facilitate development. They urge the younger generation to emulate the legacies of the founder of the African Refugees Foundation, Chief Segun Olushola.
When you have suffered hardship, you still come back to talk. So let us talk now, peacefully, find out what our differences are, settle the issues, and avoid bloodshed and unpleasantness.
The 2017 World Refugees Day is aimed at drawing attention to the plight of refugees. It also provides an opportunity for all to support refugees worldwide. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. We now take a break for some messages, after which the news continues from Abuja. Stay with us.
The Debt Management Office, DMO, on behalf of the Federal Government of Nigeria, is offering the general public an opportunity to invest and contribute to national development through the Federal Government of Nigeria's Savings Bond. Investment in the FGN Savings Bond will lead to poverty reduction and create employment opportunities. FGN Savings Bond have attractive features: guaranteed fixed income, quarterly interest payment, use of investment as collateral for loans, can be sold at the secondary market, good for savings towards school fees, marriage and house projects. Please visit www.dmo.gov.ng, your stockbroker or financial advisor. FGN Savings Bond for national development. This message is from the Debt Management Office.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Cadbury Bournvita now comes in an attractive new 500-gram refill pack. Simply open and reseal after use to retain the chocolatey and creamy taste. Cadbury Bournvita. Prepare.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights. How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
The Federal Government of Nigeria, through the Debt Management Office, is offering the general public a special FGN instrument which does not bear interest. Rather, it pays rental income. The FGN Sukuk is a special instrument that will be dedicated to the funding of infrastructure and will offer ethical investors the opportunity to earn rental income from the use of the projects funded. Returns will be paid to investors every 6 months directly to their bank accounts. The sovereign Sukuk is risk-free because it is backed by the full faith and credit of the Federal Government of Nigeria. The Sukuk will be listed and traded on the Nigeria Stock Exchange and FMDQ Securities Exchange. With as little as 10,000 naira, you can invest in Sukuk and be part of the development of the nation's infrastructure. Investors may contact any branch of First Bank of Nigeria Limited and Lotus Capital Financial Services nationwide, or visit www.dmo.gov.ng. The Sukuk. Offer dates to be announced soon. DMO, designing bonds to suit all Nigerians.
Here's your order.
I think this is not exactly what we ordered. I ordered a Coca-Cola Zero.
No problem. I can give you 0 calories, 0 sugar, and a great Coca-Cola taste. Here's the Coca-Cola Zero you ordered.
Do it again.
You still look like you need a Coca-Cola. Why don't you sneak inside your bag? Wherever you feel, together be real, together enjoy.
World Bank approves $916 million loan for federal government's economic recovery and growth plan. Let's join Muplang Dakok for this and more on Business News.
Hello and thank you for joining me. The World Bank has approved $960 million grant to support Nigeria's economic recovery and growth plan for 2017 and 2020. The Global Bank says the federal government would receive $611 million to increase basic education through its economic recovery and growth program, while Kaduna State would get $350 million to improve its economic transformation program. Efforts of government in ensuring that Nigerian farmers have access to loans and grants through the nation's central bank, CBN, the Bank of Agriculture and other financial institutions is being commended. President, Ginger Growers and Marketers Association of Nigeria, Mrs. Florence Edwards, says they are aligning with the federal government's diversification plan and look forward to increasing the nation's external reserve.
Nigerian government should help farmers, help processors, help them to add value to whatever they are producing. Not for us to produce and China to process and then bring back to Nigeria, and then we now buy, we go and import it and we buy, and when we use producing, we're producing enough. We're the best. We have the spiciest ginger in Nigeria, in the whole world.
Shares on the Nigerian Stock Exchange fell for a second day Thursday. The all-share index fell by minus 1.64% to 32,982 basis points, affected mainly by the banking sector, which fell by 3.34%. 509 stocks were traded in 5,321 deals, valued at 5.034 billion naira. And that's business news at this time. Thank you for joining me. I am Moplang Dakok.
And time now to join Zainab in our Sokoto Network Center. On the lineup, federal government's anti-corruption stance commended. Zainab?
Cyril and welcome to the seat of the Caliphate. Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar III says traditional institutions in Nigeria have a great role to play in cautioning youths against all forms of violence. The monarch was speaking when he hosted resident communities, heads of security agencies in Sokoto, and other groups on Ramadan breakfast at his palace. Sheikh Muhammad Datti completes the report.
Sultan Muhammad Saad said unity of Nigeria is paramount despite ethnic and religious differences. While thanking Allah for bringing the diverse ethnic groups together, the monarch challenged Nigerians to be their brother's keeper. Dialogue, he said, is the best way to solve all conflicts rather than violence or confrontations. The Sultan said extremism brings about deception, calling for understanding amongst religious sects and groups.
We always want to preach peace, want to preach love, want to preach peaceful coexistence, want to preach impartiality, want to preach respect.
Comments and suggestions were offered on the best way to promote understanding, prevent and resolve crises by leaders of different groups. It is the tradition of the Sultan to bring together religious clerics, resident communities, as well as other groups residing in Sokoto to Ramadan dinner, interact and understand one another. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
The federal government's fight against corruption has been commended for enhancing the ability of institutions in the country to effectively utilize available resources. The Vice Chancellor, Usman Danfodiyo University, Sokoto, Professor Abdullahi Abduzuru stated this at the commissioning of an advanced medical research and training center in Sokoto. Safia Abdullahi has the report.
The Medical Research and Training Center, the first of its kind in Nigeria, will conduct diagnosis on cancer, DNA, paternity tests, among others. Built through Tet Fund Special Intervention, the center has laboratories that include genomic sequencing laboratory, molecular diagnosis microscopy, flow cytometry laboratory, as well as cell and tissue culture laboratory.
There are some things before you can be able to identify them, you have to go abroad to do them. Like detection of some cancer, early cancer detection. Our lab is equipped to do those type of detection.
The Vice-Chancellor of Manford University, Sokoto, Professor Abdullahi Abduzuru, appreciated the TED Fund's intervention and federal government's fight against corruption, which has enhanced the ability of institutions to properly utilize resources. Commissioning the center, the Executive Secretary of TED Fund, Dr. Abdullahi Bofabichi, said the center is meant to facilitate research and publications in real field of science, which were hitherto not done in Nigeria. In Sokoto, Safia Abdullahi, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Cyril as the news continues.
Thank you, Zainab. Studies indicate that Nigeria contributes 10% of the world's maternal and child mortality rate. Now, one of the issues identified as responsible for this is complications arising from female genital mutilation procedure. Alarmingly, this practice is reported to be carried out these days in hospitals. Chimdema Ndubisi in this report outlines the health hazards and sufferings following this practice.
Female genital mutilation, a procedure that involves partial or total removal of the external female genitalia, is mainly practiced in Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and as a result of migration, is spread into Europe, Australia, and the United States. Our 2008 demographic survey carried out in Nigeria showed that 30% of all Nigerian women went through female genital mutilation procedure within their infancy stage up to 15 years. With this age-long practice comes health complications besides the severe pains, excessive bleeding, genital tissue swelling, and more.
In the serious case of FGM, they tighten the whole area, so it's difficult. The woman has dystocia, that's difficult in giving birth. Then there's the chances of infection. There's also a lot of pain. There's ovarian cysts. There's VVF, and in extreme cases, there's even death.
Although Nigeria in 2015 banned the practice, but there are reports that it's still ongoing. That's why a non-governmental organization, Preston Development Foundation, wants to, through this stunt at the Ministry of Health, paint a mental picture of the dangers of female circumcision.
Well, in 2017, girls should not be caught as at this time, and research has shown that people are even medicalizing FGM. They're taking it to the hospitals now.
The women are not standing alone on this.
We're standing up with the women because it's not just them alone, because whatever affects them ultimately affects us.
Health professionals assert that this cultural practice, female genital cutting, has no health benefit. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Fire outbreak in Okuroma community area of Rivers State. The details and more with Mina in our Port Harcourt Network Center. Mina.
Hello, Cyril. Good evening and welcome to Port Harcourt. The implementation of the Ogoni land cleanup after 1 year of its flag-off by the federal government is expected to commence soon with the sensitization of the oil-impacted communities by Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, ahead of the exercise. Coordinator of the project, Dr. Marvin Dekil, reiterated the federal government's commitment in carrying the people along in the cleanup project. Robinson Dorothy has the details.
Remediation Project is an agency under the Federal Ministry of Environment established to remediate oil-impacted areas in the Niger Delta region, starting with the Ogoni Cleanup Project. The coordinator of the project, Dr. Marvin Dekin, led his team to interact with the chiefs and people of Bodo and Kedere communities on the modalities of the project.
We will be bringing in companies, some of which have told us that they have technology they want to test. We will verify all the technology that they want to use. We test technologies that are best suited for the work we want to do.
Don't be weak. Follow the challenges and make sure that you finish this project. Follow the rightful course. Take the instruction from government. Take the instruction from us, who are the leaders.
Earlier, the team visited Gokana Divisional Police Officer Nzota Chidi for security support throughout the exercise. From Bodo, Robinson Deratede, NTA News.
Over 25 homes have been razed down in Okurama community in Port Harcourt City following a fire outbreak which began evening hours of Wednesday. Karina Iguniko visited the area and reports that victims are appealing for assistance from the government and well-meaning individuals to ameliorate their plight.
Behind me is the ravages of a fire that has razed down over 25 houses covering 5 compounds in Okurama community. The fire was said to have started in the early evening of Wednesday night from fuel stored in one of the houses.
No property was removed. Both my children's certificate, everything was lost.
I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the River State government, the well-meaning individuals and both within the state and outside the state to come to the aid of the victims.
Special advisor to the governor on emergency and relief services was at the site to assess the damage.
The state governor being who is extremely sympathetic to situations of such, we're optimistic. We positively react.
Indigenes and non-indigenes of Okuru who suffered loss of their homes in the fire appeal for assistance from the state government and other good-spirited persons to help them with the losses incurred. In Okuru, Karina Igonikon, NTA News.
And that's a bit from Port Harcourt. Cyril is back to you for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Mina. The 10th Nigeria-Benin Joint Action on the Response to Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children, has opened in Abuja. Stakeholders are brainstorming on the 2016-2022 ECOWAS Plan of Action on ratification and domestication of international instruments, international legislative frameworks by member states. Gabriel Odu has the details.
Trafficking in persons is a transnational organized crime with its attendant consequences, especially on women and children. That is why the 10th Nigeria-Benin Joint Consultative Meeting is discussing on more potent measures to prevent trafficking in persons in the ECOWAS sub-region.
Areas I'm particularly impressed and happy about are the areas of, will I say, eradicating this child labor in the stone quarries. That has been a big problem for us, and they were able to take very good care of that. So in that regards, yes, I believe that they've done something remarkable.
People don't have enough information about where they are going, and so they just go. But when they are educated about the risks that are involved, they may decide to stay back. Or even when they decide to move, they should be aware of what awaits them and how they can be supported through it.
Other issues on the table include social protection, intelligence and law enforcement, as well as migration. In Abuja, Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
And just ahead of it in sport after this time out.
The last few months, there has been a resurgence of meningitis in Nigeria. This is a serious disease that is preventable, that is treatable. The symptoms of meningitis include fever, headache, neck pain, neck stiffness, vomiting, skin rash, convulsion, undue sensitivity to light, coma, and it could lead to death.
But we can all protect ourselves from meningitis.
The most important thing you should do is get vaccinated.
Cover your nose and mouth when you sneeze and cough.
Avoid contact with infected people. Keep your surroundings and surfaces clean.
Do not share personal items.
Wash your hands regularly and take care of personal hygiene. Avoid crowded areas. Ensure proper ventilation at all times.
Please go to the nearest clinic if you're concerned that you or your child may have meningitis.
All of us should work together and stop the spread of meningitis in Nigeria. You too can fight meningitis.
Together, we all can fight meningitis.
This public message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health and Dettol.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime. We bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws. National regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC as an agency is indeed doing so much to protect the health of our nation. I urge everyone to support NAFDAC in ridding the country of fake drugs and unwholesome products.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
South African President Jacob Zuma likely to survive vote of no confidence. This and more on Global Tidbits with Talatu Izarike.
Reports say pressure is mounting on South Africa's President Jacob Zuma following actions for a non-confidence vote. There is belief that the ANC and members of parliament will not vote President Zuma out of power by supporting a vote of no confidence initiated by the opposition. President Zuma, who faces corruption allegations, had survived several votes of no confidence moves. This comes as Kenya's